Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily on this Monday morning edition of Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. TK joining us from Court Street Cafe, right in the heart of God's country, downtown Port Allen, Louisiana. Just a quick 5-minute jump over the bridge. First exit, hang a right. Second light, hang a right. There he is. And a great place. We'll tell you about it later on in the show, Court Street Cafe. Also, we're presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. We've got our Gridiron Kickoff online auction that we'll be telling you about coming up in mid-September. You don't want to miss that. A lot of great stuff on there. And, of course, all the proceeds benefits the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame Foundation and the museum. And, of course, presented by LeBear's Casino, where we were on Saturday. Going to be rocking and rolling this weekend at LeBear's, the new ESPN Bet Sportsbook, which will get they're actually going to have a September 5th is going to be the grand opening. Grand opening situation is September 5th at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. I think that night they're going to have the big official ribbon cutting and whatnot. We'll tell you all about it this Saturday on Sports Shorts Radio. All right, so a lot to get to and digest from over the weekend. A busy weekend in sports. Of course, most notably, college football is underway. Nick Saban proved to the world that he is no more than an analyst than Tommy Krysan and I, as he picked Florida State to win the national championship, to go undefeated, and they simply lost game one to Georgia Tech over in Ireland. But a lot to digest in that game. It was an exciting game. It was a very, tied at halftime, and it came down to the field goal at the end. But some new rule changes made that game interesting. TK will tell you about it in a minute. Of course, today, LSU baseball, tonight, Dylan Cruz will be making his Major League Baseball debut. Remember, Paul Skeens went 1, Dylan Cruz 2 in the draft. And so there, or was it the other way around? No, it was
Skeens won.
Skeens went 1 to the Pirates, right? And so, this is a long time coming. We thought maybe it would have happened sooner, but here it is tonight. They take on the Yankees at home in D.C. I'll be watching that on the TV. Of course, a lot of Tiger fans actually will be there. I know a number of people making a trip up there since they found out last Thursday, Friday about it. We've got other stuff to get to in the world of sports. Of course, LSU, the line has come down. USC, a lot of people believing in USC. Tigers now only a 4-point favorite instead of a 6.5-point favorite just a couple of weeks ago. So you get some value there if you like the LSU Tigers. You might want to even wait a little bit more. Maybe you'll get to 3.5. Who knows? But first, let me bring in Tommy, TK, and we got to talk Saints. Of course, the Saints lose at home to the Titans in their final preseason game. But let's talk college football for a minute. I thought it was an outstanding game. The thing that surprised me the most in the Georgia Tech win over Florida State, of course, Georgia Tech was an 11.5-point underdog at kickoff, was the fact that I felt like the physicality of Georgia Tech, maybe the lack of physicality by Florida State, but the physicality of Georgia Tech, they pushed the Seminoles around all day.
Well, we were kind of watching and doing radio Saturday, and Hunter McCann made a comment that when Georgia Tech's opening drive, he never saw an offensive line dominate so much going all the way down the field. And that rings true because all the post-game columns said Georgia Tech just on the offensive and defensive line was way better than Florida State in many, many plays, far fewer than not. So that was a big difference. Now, the other thing you kind of referenced it, the clock runs like in the NFL now. Like if a guy runs out of bounds, they kind of just give everybody a minute to get up, and then they chop the clock back in. There were only 14 possessions, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Each team had seven possessions. And that's the fewest amount of possessions in a game in about 4+ years in college football in the, the FCS, the FBS, whatever they call that. So, the clock games are going to go a little bit quicker. Plus, I had a friend of mine text me, he didn't realize 2-minute warning is now in effect in the first half and second half. So that might offset the clock running a little bit and, to make the end of half and a close game tight. And at the end of the game, it certainly bring a lot of things into play and a lot of strategy. But I didn't think Georgia Tech would win. I bet Florida State out of the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. I'm kind of, that old saying, Ronnie, when you bet Florida State minus 10.5, if they can't cover, might as well get beat. So right. I had a little chuckle that, not only did they not cover, they got beat, and Seminole fans are all upset, obviously. And, they already talked like, did that ruin their playoff hopes? Not really, because if they win the next 11 games, they're going to be in the playoff. But that conversation will come up. Same thing when LSU and Southern Cal play Saturday. The loser, are they out of the playoff? All that stuff's going to come up. Now, Florida State plays Boston College next Monday night. It's a Monday night game. And they're a big favorite, but Boston College, I've been reading a lot of stuff about them. Bill O'Brien's the coach, and they got like 18 returning starters. They beat Florida State next week. Florida State will be out in the playoffs. But it was a fun weekend, a big comeback with that Montana State game. There was a wild scoring in the Hawaii game. But now it's full speed ahead, including Southeastern at Tulane Thursday night. You got Florida, Miami and Florida on Saturday, Georgia and Clemson on Saturday. College football is here.
Looking forward to that Miami and Florida game to kind of gauge where Florida is at. They've got the toughest schedule in America on paper, and two proud programs, two giant names, two programs that we're used to thinking, can they win the national championship? Instead, can Florida have a winning season and Billy Napier keep his job? That's where we're at. Nobody expects Billy Napier to be back next year as the coach of Florida because of their brutal schedule. I think the over-under in Vegas for Florida was like 4.5 or 5.5. Crazy low. So, that just gives you an idea of how bad they're expected to be and how difficult their schedule is. So interesting to see that matchup on Saturday. And then, of course, Southeastern and Tulane. Tulane with a new coach, Willie Fritz, gone over at the University of Houston now, and a new staff. Of course, Tulane's had two of the greatest years of its program's history the last 2 years. Can they keep it going with a new regime and a new quarterback? So that'll be, obviously they should handle Southeastern no problem. We'll see how that goes. I thought the game on Saturday, man, was a fun one to watch. It was very entertaining. It was well played. The crowd over in Dublin, Ireland was, packed. Obviously both teams traveled extremely well. Plus, clearly there's a lot of interest on American football over in Ireland. And it was a great atmosphere. You had exactly what you expected to have. You had a little sunshine. You had a little rain as well at times during the game. So typical Irish weather. And fingers crossed that one day we'll be in that number, TK, that the LSU Tigers will be playing over in Dublin. I know Brian Kelly's been lobbying for that the last few months. I hope that man gets exactly what he wants. All right, so Florida State, whether or not that cost them the national championship, Tommy, I don't know that that's a playoff team because of that offensive and defensive line. That's such an important part of your team. The way they got pushed around against Georgia Tech, and no disrespect to Georgia Tech, but nobody had them in the playoffs.
But they were picked ninth in the ACC.
Right. This Florida State, that does not look like that offensive defensive line. I don't know how you that from.
And there was a lot of criticism about the quarterback, DJ. I can't even say his last name. But because he wouldn't throw the ball downfield, and they're saying it didn't work for him when he was at Clemson, it didn't work for him at Oregon State, and now he's here. And there was a lot, of course, when you lose, you start pointing at everybody. And but a lot of people that I read said that that was the knock on him at Clemson and the knock on him at Oregon State, that he just won't throw the ball down the field for whatever reason. Not the most accurate guy. So hey. Big one for them on Monday night next week against Boston College. But there's so many more big and fun and great games between now and then.
Yeah, DJ Ukulele or something like that.
That's what I call him Saturday. Hunter got on me about that. It's ukulele. That's what Tiny Tim used to play, right?
That's right. Ukulele,
tiptoe through the tulips. Are you old enough to remember that?
I know the song. I know the video. That was So tell me. Tell me your takeaway of the. Let's go over to NFL. You watched just about every play of the Saints game. I actually got on the golf course, played a few holes with my brother at Oakbourne in Lafayette.
I like that course.
Yeah, it's a great course. It's not as hard as it used to be many decades ago. They kind of
because it's not long. It's not long.
Well, they thinned out some of the trees. They took out now still trees. But they did thin out some of the trees. It's in some areas. So anyway, the New Orleans Saints going into the game, offensive line. Let's see how they do in their third preseason game on the offensive line, particularly Penning. And then who's going to be the backup quarterback? All right, let's talk about those two big things from your perspective.
Well, the offensive line, I mean, Penny, had a couple of plays where he did some good run blocking, and he got away on a jet sweep thing when he shouldn't have. But, that's everybody's looking at him. And now keep in mind, he switched from left tackle to right tackle. And believe it or not, that's a big adjustment, bigger change than maybe the average fan thinks. But, Derek Carr did not play. I thought the offensive line, I don't think there was consistency, and that's what you want to have, even though it's the third preseason game. You want to have some things polished up. The quarterbacks had 6 drop passes. Okay, now there were a lot of people in the field that come tomorrow and cut day in the NFL won't be wearing Saints uniforms anymore. But Haener started. Rattler got in there. Haener came back because what it was Dennis Allen said he wants to see both guys with the first team and going against the first team of in this case Tennessee. Rattler led them on 3 touchdown scoring drives. Now, it's not like he had great passing numbers, but he led the team down the field. And that's what you're supposed to do, right? Move the chains, get in the red zone, get some points. That's what he did. Haener just, I don't know, he, again, threw some good passes, threw some bad passes. So I would think if it's up to me, and I think one of our viewers, Carl, said the same thing, I think Rattler's the number 2 guy. That's my eyeball test, my opinion. Okay, I mean, Carr's obviously the starting guy, so that's what I took out of that. And again, I think the best thing about the NFL today is that the preseason is over. I mean, just a lot of tough games to watch, and especially this weekend, with so many guys on the field who aren't going to wear a uniform come tomorrow when the NFL cuts down to 53 players. You'll get practice squad, etc. But Saints were not impressive. Tennessee's a middle of the pack team, supposed to be kind of good, not going to be great. So it was hard to get a really good reading, but hey,
they're big. You saying Rattler over Haener? Why? What
I
do
think
you for Haener?
I think he's more mobile. I think he can extend plays a little bit better. I think he's got a little bit of a better arm. And again, he's just that eyeball test. He's got that leadership. He's like getting them in the huddle, and he's getting them up to the line, and he just looks a little more polished. Not guaranteed. Granted, he played at Oklahoma, then he played at South Carolina, and Haener's experience is not the same. And I think that might be part of it. But I think the mobility and just the leadership that you see, the old eyeball test, that's what I like about Rattler. Look, when they picked him, I thought that was a wasted pick. And again, as I said, preseason game 1, he kind of got my attention. Preseason game 2, he didn't do so well. But then I thought he looked okay considering. And I think he's the number 2 guy. But clearly that's up to the Saints coaching staff.
Well, the fans, of course, want Rattler. He's a name. He's a known name. This was a guy who was a top 5 quarterback in the country out of high school. And of course, as we've talked about it, how he had the documentary he was on in high school. So people have known about him. People feel like they know him. They know his story, his troubles on and off the field, and going back to his days in Arizona in high school. So, he's a guy that is familiar. And I think there is some value in the fact that he played at a high level, and he was a leader of a team at a high level, used to playing in front of big crowds and dealing with the media and dealing with expectations and all that kind of stuff. So if it is a tie goes to the runner kind of thing, I would go probably Rattler over Haener. But let's hope that it doesn't ever matter this year. The best thing that quarterbacks can do is sit and watch. If Rattler and is able to back up Carr and not have to play and just have the opportunity to go through a whole season as a backup quarterback and hold the clipboard and be in every meeting and get the reps at practice and learn, that's going to be the best thing for his career than get thrown in there to the fire. And then, that never works out well year 1. And then all of a sudden, maybe you're questioning your confidence and fans are questioning if you're the guy and you're just not ready yet. So we shall see. But hey, now the real bullets fly. You still, as bad as the Saints have looked in the preseason, you still have them winning week 1 against Carolina because they've looked worse.
Yeah, and Saints are actually a 4-point favorite on that as we speak today. And again, it's 2 weeks from yesterday.
2 weeks.
But then the Saints have 4. They're going to lose the next 4, I think. I mean, it's a really tough schedule, including 3 road trips out of that next 4. And so everybody will get fired up because they're going to be 1-0. They're going to beat the Panthers, who are really bad. And then we'll see what happens in them next 4. And I would guess the Dome will be rocking a little bit for the opener against the Panthers. It'll be a noon game, and on that Sunday the 8th. So we'll see. And then, of course, cut down day tomorrow. I mean, I read Sean Fazan, who works for the Channel 8 in New Orleans. He had his projected 53-man roster. I looked at it this morning. He had him keeping all quarterbacks. Because social media last night was saying, go ahead and cut Hayner, but he had them keeping all three. So, Saints fans, and then, whatever's your favorite team, they got to be down to 53 players by late tomorrow afternoon or evening, something like 4 or 5 o'clock, somewhere up in there. They got to be down. And yes, as always, every year there's going to be some big names cut. They've already had some teams already made some cuts, but we'll see how that goes.
If he decides to keep all three, then that means that they can't figure that. One, to me, that tells me that they're not real sure of who two is, right? They feel like it's so close. And then they also tell me that there's no thought to using Taysom Hill at quarterback as your three, which is what I would do. This team is not in a situation, or the Saints, to where they can have the luxury of giving up a position quarterback if you don't really need it. And the fact that you don't have confidence in Taysom Hill to be your third quarterback. I mean, if you get to the point where, Derek Carr and Rattler or Hayner, whoever your backup is knocked out and you got to finish a game, I'm totally comfortable with Taysom Hill playing quarterback in that emergency type situation. I think risk reward. I think it's worth it to have another position player, another defensive lineman, another offensive lineman to help you versus have a guy who's never going to play other than a catastrophe situation, which then you could just simply get by with Taysom Hill, who's more than capable of finishing a game or winning a game for you and as the third quarterback if he's only playing a quarter or something like that.
Great point. I agree with you completely.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's kind of just, look, Sean Payton was a guy who loved Taysom Hill. He was the guy that lobbied for him, that made his career, quite frankly. He's not there anymore. And this is now the second year that he's not there, right? Or I guess the third year that he's not there. Second, I don't know. I'm losing my trend here. And it seems as if, the Taysom Hill doing both thing is that was more of a Sean Payton thing. The further we get away from Sean, the less Taysom Hill. Bro, that guy, if he's on your roster, use him. Good things happen. We've seen the statistics. The more he touches the ball, the more the Saints win. That guy is the Swiss Army knife is real. Whether you think it's quirky or funky or whatever, it doesn't matter. Good things happen when the clock is running and he's got the football in his hand.
I agree again, 100% with you. The stats prove that out. So we'll see how that goes going forward.
All right, we'll talk plenty about the NFL. We got 2 weeks to do so, make our predictions on not only what the Saints will do, but who do we think is going to be in the big dance in the Super Bowl this year. Looking forward to seeing Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. Looking forward to seeing Aaron Rodgers back with the Jets. Remember, we thought they were going to be the story last year, and he gets hurt game one. And then Kirk Cousins is expected to be the best quarterback in our division, which he should be if he's healthy. He looks ready to go. Did you see the video of him with the helmet on the sidelines, coaching up a teammate? Like he's chomping at the bit to get in there. I don't blame him. All right, what else we got? TK, we got baseball. Dylan Cruz tonight. I know you'll be watching.
Dylan Cruz makes his debut 5:45 at home, National Park against the Yankees. Pretty cool video out there how he told his mom about getting the call up. That was pretty cool, pretty exciting. Aaron Judge continues to hit home runs in MLB, but I guess the big story is Dylan Cruz being called up, another LSU Tiger into the major leagues, and we'll see how that goes for Dylan Cruz. Also, Little League World Series yesterday. I watched the last couple of innings. Lake Mary, Florida, 6th straight year that the United States has won the international championship. Now they have a U.S. championship and an international champion, Chinese Taipei. 1-0 on a bunt going wrong. I mean, that third baseman was in on the grass, and because they got the international tiebreaker rule like the Rougarou do, where you put the guy on second in extra innings. Well, the batter lays down a perfect bunt towards first base. You saw it. Pitcher picks it up. No second baseman. They throws it in the right field. Lake Mary wins 2-1. But I think more important, after the game, I mean, obviously Chinese Taipei to lose a game like that you were winning 1-0 going to the sixth inning, which was the final inning of the scheduled game. And the sportsmanship showed by Lake Mary and, hugging all them kids from Chinese Taipei who obviously were in shock and, a tough way to lose a world championship. I thought that was notable, but, everybody loves watching that Little League World Series, and it was nothing short of great and phenomenal, exciting this year. So tip of the hat to Lake Mary, Florida, for getting it done. And I guess a lot of people around here kind of all got into it when East Bank down there in Kenner won the whole thing a couple of years back. Yeah, about 5 or 6. Yeah. So and then of course, AP baseball is now in Little League and has had some really good teams and still has some really good teams that have advanced to regional play and whatnot. So, it's that time of the year in August when you get to watch all that Little League stuff. But as I mentioned, Dylan Cruz in the bigs tonight. And how about Danny Jansen? He's going to play today for the Boston Red Sox in a resumed game against the Blue Jays. When he was on the Blue Jays a month ago when this got suspended, he was at the plate with an 0-1 count. And so now there's going to be a pinch hitter for him, and then he's going to catch the pinch hitter for him. So that'll be a box score to save because it'll be the same guy will be on both teams with the same box score.
But it won't be, Tommy. Well, it'll be a box score, but it won't be the same at bat. That's what I was kind of hoping for. I was wondering what the count was, but because it's
0-1,
when they pinch hit for him, the other guy will be listed as.
But he'll still be shown as a pinch hitter. I think he'll still be shown as a pinch hitter. I'll have to check that out. There's a double header.
Yeah, I think the rule. I mean, again, this isn't my.
No, I think what you're going at is the pitcher gets credit for who. Yeah, I think he's going to be listed on both box scores. I'll print it up tonight and see what happens. But it's never happened before in Major League Baseball.
Pitching, if you're the pitcher and you throw a strike or a ball and it's 1-0 or 0-1, and then they pull you, then the guy who comes in gets credit for that at bat. I mean, for facing the batter.
The result of the bat.
Result gets credit to him. It's after like 3 pitches, I think, is maybe the number. But as a hitter, if you get pinch hit for in the middle of an at bat, which you can't do, can you?
Yeah, because you could have an injury. I mean, it doesn't happen a lot, but you could have an injury.
Yeah, you can get pinch hit for a minute. So then, like, who gets credit for the at bat? If the guy gets the hit, well, I guess it'd be who.
I think it would be the guy who got the hit, or the guy who struck out or grounded out or whatever it might be. But anyway, that's cool. But hey, of course, the tension around here will be Dylan Cruz. I looked to see if the lineup was posted yet. It wasn't. It's a 5:45 game, so probably 2-3 o'clock that lineup will get posted. Be interested to see where. Yeah, I think he'll play center field. I don't know where he'll be in the batting order. I don't know that much about the Nationals team. I know they're not a playoff team. The Yankees, have been doing well, and they got Aaron Judge and the rest of the gang. So that'll be interested there as well. So how about Keegan Bradley winning the BMW Championship by 1 shot? Sam Burns, your favorite golfer, second, tied for second, and a lot of money. There'll be 30 golfers in Atlanta this week, but the winner gets $25 million. That's not a bad week for work if you could get it. And then Ronnie Mondo Duplantis for the 10th time broke the pole vault record, and I had to look this up. I knew it wasn't much, but by a centimeter, which is less than a half an inch for those of you that don't know centimeters.
Closer, Tommy. Put your fingers here. Basically, your fingers are touching, and they just barely.
Yeah, that's a slide a piece of paper in there. That's the amount of it, and he got $50,000 bonus from the event, breaking the world record at the event because they got all the publicity. So Mondo Duplantis with another world record, and I would think because it's less than a half an inch, you might get that 7 or 8 more times, huh?
That his brother explained that's why he does it that way and doesn't just go for 21 feet or something and try to break it. It's because every time you break the world record, it triggers a bunch of bonuses, not only from the event, but from your sponsors as well. And it allows you to get that publicity and have big conversation. It's the 10th time he's broken the world record. And, clearly by watching that video, there's more room to spare there. And barring injury, he's going to probably one day get to 21 feet, and so, he's just going to do it a half a centimeter at a time, and why not? That's how he gets paid. And
hey, it's a business move, right? It's a business move, And so that was his brother Robert posted it yesterday. I shared that with you. I didn't even know he was jumping, and my friend Robert, his uncle, shared it, and then I saw it and all that good stuff. So, Ronnie, it's a busy week as we roll through the end of August here. I know you'll be out in Vegas. Hunter McCann will be out there with the WBRZ crew. We'll have Sports Shorts Radio live from Vegas this Saturday. I'll do the phone thing from somewhere in Baton Rouge. And, it's a busy week. A lot of things happening.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We'll be a lot of folks getting out there on Wednesday. We'll be getting out there on Thursday, and we'll be live at Mandalay Bay. And then I'll also be pinch hitting for Gordy on the Eagle 98.1 post-game show. I'll be with Charles Hanegraaff after the game on Sunday on Eagle 98.1. So we'll tell you all about it as the week unfolds. TK, get us out of here with a little Court Street Cafe talk.
Hey, breakfast, lunch, dinner at Court Street Cafe. Jason and staff do a super job. Red beans and rice for lunch today. Closed next Monday, so we'll be out here next Tuesday for the Sports Shorts Daily. But you really got to check them out on Facebook and Instagram. They post lunch specials, dinner specials, everything. Drink specials at the bar that's right behind me. Court Street Cafe, 805 4th Street in Port Allen. If you haven't been here yet, you need to stop by. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's all really, really good. Again, Jason and the staff do a super job. Just a couple of minutes over the Mississippi River Bridge, and a great way to keep up. If you haven't done it yet, connect on Facebook and Instagram, and then come on out to Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. As we always tell you, please like and share this show. That helps everybody involved. We're back Wednesday. We'll be at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood Wednesday and Friday. Friday, Ronnie will be in Vegas. Got Jeff Palermo pinch hitting for him on the Friday show this week of Sports Shorts Daily. Like and share this show. I appreciate it very much. On behalf of all the good folks here at Court Street Cafe, I'm Tommy Christ saying have a great day, everyone.